Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. We are back after our holiday break, international break, whatever you want to call it. We are back with Nico here in a cheeky Fiorentina kit. Any specific player there, or just decided to rep Fiorentina here?
Nope, just repping the squad down in Italy, I guess. Back from our little holiday, a little
A
getaway.
little, a little
But so
getaway.
yeah, feeling
Mike?
good. Feeling good.
Oh,
Squad look good.
nobody asked. Anyways, Mike, I see you're wearing some type of scarf there. Is that Barca there, or what are we looking at?
No, this is
Oh,
Les
Detroit.
Rouges. This is Detroit City FC. Another one of my Michigan cities, another one of my smaller teams that I support. Been to a game, bought a scarf. So yeah, repping today. Had to stay warm. First real snow in Michigan. So that's what I chose to rock today.
Mike always with some very well-known teams: Detroit City FC, Kalamazoo FC, and the Timor-Leste national team. Just some real quality with
Love the
all
game.
his appearances on the pod. We get started. It was a wild week. We can briefly go over the international. The U.S. is now in the Copa. Didn't look that great. We'll get a bit more into that. Anything else that you guys saw during the international break that you guys want to shout out or mention here? Nick, I think you might.
Yeah, dude, Colombia 2 for 2, big win over Brazil. First time in a while we won. I believe in Brazil. Oh no, it was in Colombia, but still, Luis Diaz with the brace, emotional after his dad got released. Everyone, I'm sure, has seen that photo now. So, shout out to the boys, Los Cafeteros. And they beat Paraguay too. So 2 for 2, looking good. Third in the group. Brazil not qualifying right now.
Suspect from Brazil. They lost their first home game in World Cup qualifying ever to Argentina.
Yeah.
Mike, anything catch your eye here?
No, some good games in the Euro qualifying and in CONMEBOL. And we'll talk about US later, so we can leave it at that.
Perfect. That will allow us to get into our first game, and this game, as Peter Drury in his commentary said, there was an atmosphere much more than just the game here. There was a frenzy and a storm brewing. Unfortunately, it did not help the home team. Mike, it is your featured game. It is Manchester United. It is Everton, our Toffees, Golazos, slow play from Ashley Young, and Martial brought back from the dead. Mike, bring us through the featured game of the week here for you.
Yeah, I had a lot of hope going into this game. For some of those reasons you said, obviously, an aura of things outside of the game today with the point deduction for Everton, 10-point deduction at that. And, it seems kind of unwarranted, definitely from an Evertonian perspective. They're yelling out from the streets that there's corruption, and I think they have some validity in that argument. Uh, Also, pink banners in the stadium today. Lots of Everton fans holding those up, saying Premier League corrupt. So they were making their voices heard, and that definitely played in to come into this game. We had something to fight for, even more so than just getting 3 points. And unfortunately, it didn't go our way, but I thought it was an inspired performance. Scoreline's not going to reflect that. It's 3-0. It's a trouncing. But you look at these 3 goals and you're like, okay, it is quite a bit closer than it seems on the scoreboard. That Garnacho goal is just fucking class. Like, I can't even be mad at that. He pulled that out of his ass, and it's just one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen. Floated cross. Most of the time, dude's going to try to take a touch there, and he just goes for the spectacular and pulls it off. Like, take a bow. Beats one of the better goalkeepers in the Prem. Pickford didn't have a chance on that. It, it was just really a thing of beauty. One that I think we'll see on highlight reels for, decades. Um, and then we have a lot of chances, especially in that first half where we just don't capitalize. And it comes down to kind of our lack of just hunger or class in front of goal. Corey has one that he just puts wide, and he's not a 10. He's not an attacking midfielder. And you really see it in situations like that when you need a dude with a little bit more composure in the box. Calvert-Lewin also with a few chances there, just didn't go our way. And then heartbreak early in the second half, kind of against the run of play. Man U's not creating much. They're holding the ball a decent amount, but they're not looking very threatening. We're containing them on the wings. Martial looks kind of anonymous up top. And then they get one through, and Ashley Young just leaves a foot late. And he didn't need to. I mean, it's covered. Martial's going into an attacking area, but he takes a bad touch. Pickford's gathering that ball all day. Ref initially gives simulation, gives Martial a yellow card. VAR checks in, and I mean, once it goes to VAR, we're never getting that decision. It's set. That's a pen, and it sucks. Marcus Rashford given the pen, little confidence for him, playing poorly but gets it done. And then the third one, just we're chasing goals. We put on some attacking subs, and it's a well worked goal. Great pass from Bruno Fernandes, and then nice little finish from Martial, who props to him. Hasn't had a great season so far, but maybe he will turn it around. But I thought we attacked better. We had a whole lot more chances. The stats show it. I'll give a question to you, Flags, as a fellow Everton fan here. Do you think this scoreline is a little flattering for Man U? Did they deserve this? Did they create enough? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think exactly what you said is that, I mean, if you're a Manchester United fan, you're looking at this and thinking 3-0, we're finally getting goals, it's a multi-goal win. But if you're looking at it from actually watching it, you have a wonder goal from Garnacho in the 3rd minute that puts you in front. And if that ever gets hit again, good for him. If he can do that consistently for them, they will be all right, because you can find a bicycle kick across the box in every game. You are going to win a lot of games. But you take that out, which won't happen that often. Take out Ashley Young, just looking a step too late, slow, because he is an older player. And then now it's 2-0. Everton are pushing for the game, and Martial gets another one. It's not something that I would say that Manchester United showed, okay, they have a system, they're playing in it, they're doing well. There's nothing that I saw in terms of patterns of play from them that was promising for them. It's very flattering, because I do think that Everton, like you said, if we don't have a Decore as our 10, if we have some more attacking prowess on the field, some more lethal finishers, this very much so could have been 3-1 with one wonder goal for Manchester United, and then Everton being able to finish some of those chances. They had the momentum. Manchester United is not the team that came in here, dominated, and got their goals to show it. It was Everton was really coming at them, and in the end, it was mistakes from Everton and a wonder goal by Garnacho. Uh, but Nick, I'd wonder from your standpoint, Manchester United, maybe they're not playing so good. Everton fan, we're thinking, we played good. They shouldn't take anything from it. What can a Manchester United fan take from this that is positive, or do you think they're not pleased with it, although a 3-0 victory?
No, you're happy with any win in the Prem, especially the 4 Man U's winning. Um, I don't know. Fuck, dude. I hate Man U so much, but also like they keep winning games. They're up there right
Yeah.
now. They're like 6th in the table. They're like it's like Arsenal right now isn't playing their best football and they're winning games. So I give my team a lot of credit for that. I feel like I have to give them credit for that too. Um, it's just the problem is against the opposition that they're playing, they should be doing better. I do think the performance wasn't a 3-0 kind of performance, but I mean, when a team in the Premier League is really wasteful, like Everton was, you deserve to win that game, especially when you created chances. Like it wasn't just Garnacho. Like Martial was in a dangerous position on the penalty, and like that, the third goal was class. So um, I think you know what I really think. I think we're gonna learn a lot about Man U coming up because week after week we keep talking about how shit all the teams that they're playing are and how shit they play, and then they get results anyways. Well, I'm pretty sure they have after the Champions League Newcastle then Chelsea. And then after that, I think they go back to Bayern. Look at this Premier League schedule. I'll just say the Premier League: Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Liverpool, West Ham, Villa, and then Tottenham. So we're gonna
Tough
learn
run
a
of games.
lot
Yeah.
lot about this team. They've been winning ugly, and if they keep pulling some ugly results from these next games, I think it just starts kind of being their identity. Like, dude, 3 points are 3 points. Jose Mourinho fucking won a lot of games playing ugly and still picking up points. So I don't think they'll do it, but if they can prove that they can win these kinds of games where they're not playing their best against better opposition, um, I think they're a team that like you should be scared of.
I
And
agree.
looking at the table here, Manchester United in sixth now, just 2 points behind Tottenham after Tottenham's big slip in form due to all those injuries. But I think the biggest kind of storyline here that Mike did mention was that FIFA fair play rules got enacted on Everton, a 10-point deduction. They were at 14, now for just above Burnley and only on goal differential. Luton kind of separating there. Everton losing this one. As a fan, it's a bit scary, but also as a person that's looking at the rest of the league here, and I think Tim Ream said this on his American Dream podcast. If that's going to be brought down for, I believe it was like a 5 million something dollar discrepancy of where the legal limit of amount of losses you can have, and that's over a COVID time, building a stadium, etc. If that's going to be enacted, everybody's going to have to go through the books, and there's probably going to be a lot of punishments that need to be handed down. And one of the biggest questions is Man City. If Everton is getting a 10-point deduction off of one charge, Manchester City, who has 115 and continues to have them year after year, so we'll get to that number after this year. Is there going to be a punishment? Would the Premier League take out one of their top selling teams with all the top tier talent that stays in their league if Man City stays, with the best manager in the world if Man City stays? Is there any world that the Premier League punishes Man City in any close to same way as Everton per charge? Mike,
I I don't think so. And I think it comes down to the money. The Premier League won't mess with their money, and they know what Man City brings from viewership. May not be in-person fans. I mean, they don't have fucking fans because they're a fraud club, and they're new money. But I don't expect them to get some sort of punishment like that. The only thing I could think of that's like someone in the same vein is Juventus's punishment many years ago in Serie A, where they're relegated, but that's more based on going bankrupt rather than these FIFA fair play rules, which are more recently enacted. Um, but Man City will lawyer up, they'll fight it, and they'll ultimately escape punishment, is how I see it, unless somehow there's enough pressure on them to really hold these standards to each team and to have punishments that are valid, that reflect the issues that these clubs have apparently you know broken, these rules that they've broken. And I would think, I mean, I don't know all the details of Man City or even Everton's. It's kind of still a little murky, but Man City's would seem to be more along the lines of transfer fees, which I think, from a fan's perspective, are a much bigger issue. They provide much more disparity between these clubs. I don't think that Everton's loss is related to COVID and building a new stadium should have the same level of punishment as buying fucking endless amounts of players for crazy amounts of money that a majority of teams couldn't even begin to afford.
yeah, absolutely. And Nick, before we move on to Man City and their big game this week, I want your opinion on this. What do you predict the actual punishment will be for Man City when it's all said and done?
I think okay, here's what I think. I don't know what the actual punishment will be. They're definitely not going to do anything this season. We're going to have to wait until the summer for a verdict. I feel pretty confident about that. They haven't had it's been like 3 years now maybe since like they've had a legit title race, and as we're going to get into in a sec, we fucking got one this year. So, I think they won't want to fuck with that. Um two things. They're either going to do like a 15 to 20 point deduction at some point. Again, I promise that won't be it this season, and that's why I don't think it'll be that. Or they might invalidate a trophy. I could see that happening. I don't know about the Prem, but like maybe like, oh, we're taking away your FA Cup or some shit, like something, or their Carabao
Worthless.
fucking
Your
sports drink
community
cup,
shield.
like yeah, like some dumbass shit. And like maybe they can't compete in the FA Cup next year or something like that. But it's not going to be anything that's going to actually hurt Man City in the long run. Do you see, like, people are like, oh, they should get relegated, go to League One, whatever. And then Pep came out because someone asked him about it. He was like, I'd still stay at the club, League One. Dude, fucking.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't think any real effective thing is going to happen to Man City, which is why it sucks so much that Everton's getting just fucked.
I could see them at the end of the season once they know that Man City would not have won the title race if Man City does not, being like, you know what, we're actually gonna dock 15 points. Oh, you're still top four, so you still get Champions League. All
Yeah.
right, we gotcha. But yeah, that's not gonna happen, especially with all the world class players that are on Manchester City. You don't want that going to other leagues away from your league. You don't want the best manager leaving. You don't want all these things happening. And one of the things you don't want happening is the big title race going on right now, running away. Uh, and that is exactly what we have, and exactly what we had this weekend between Liverpool, Man City. Started out early. It is my featured game. Started out early with Erling Haaland in the 27th minute, getting his 50th goal, the quickest to that mark by some margin there in just 48 games, I believe. Uh, Manchester City had a few other chances that were awfully close. Seems like they could have gone a second there, but then it comes down late 80th minute. Trent Alexander Arnold. Who else but the guy that likes to, or gets talked about quite a bit? Rockets went in across the box and low, pass Ederson, gets it to 1-1, and they end up sharing the points, which leads us to quite the entertaining result in the table at the moment. Nick, from a Man City perspective, you have a lot of chances. You're not finishing them. You had the lead early on. Does this feel, although against another title contender, like it was a real lost opportunity, or is this just something that you get in a title race where you're gonna have to drop points every once in a while?
Um, this is a missed opportunity. I think like their loss versus Wolves is like that's the Prem. Like shit happens. Like competition that you don't think is gonna be as difficult. You drop your focus and you lose a game. Happens
Best
all the
team in the
time.
league.
Sure. And I just think I don't know, man. They had so many chances, especially because Allison like gifted them 3 balls in the final third. He had a shit game that no one's talking about enough. They had the ball most of the time. Like I know Liverpool in this kind of games usually counterattacking anyways, but they had a lot of chances. Phil Foden just wasteful. He is just not the top level player that we were promised. Even though he's extremely skillful. And this is I don't know, this feels like a game that City usually wins. Like they had all the chances. It's a big moment. Um, so yeah, I think from a Man City perspective, you're pretty upset.
Mike, Liverpool, 1 point behind Man City, 2 points behind Arsenal. They've been playing some good ball. Their midfielders, Endo and Gravenberch, have assimilated well into the team. What do you think from a Liverpool perspective? They're thinking about their odds here. Arsenal have not looked uh, really invincible. Man City have shown blood for the first time in years. Is Liverpool thinking this could be a very good chance for them here after a bad last year?
Definitely. Um, they know they're in the hunt, and um, they play like it. They got bossed in the midfield this game. That was evident. I don't know why Curtis Jones is starting this game. He's not that caliber of player. I thought Gravenberch was injured, but he even featured in this game, subs in late. So does Endo. And they keep playing McAllister at the 6, which works against some smaller teams. But he's not a cleanup dude, and he's not all that effective as a defensive midfielder. Good with the ball when you're possessing, but you're going to get outpossessed by City, and you need someone to break up the game. So that's when you start Endo and you move McAllister maybe to an 8. That's what I would think, at least. Curtis Jones, not the player for this match. But, they held in their own. And City, for how much they held the ball and looked sort of attacking, didn't create that many threatening chances. Their goal comes from a missed kick from Allison, a bad punt, and it's kind of a fluke because he's one of the best, if not the best, goalies for distribution. And they capitalize on that. Doku gave Alexander Arnold hell. He looked like he couldn't defend, and that's just kind of a storyline that goes on and on. He was getting burnt, balls were getting played in, but the partnership of Matip and Van Dijk cleaned that up well. And then, Trent turns around and gets a goal on the other end. He does that offensive side so well to make up for his defensive flaws. But this is a huge result for them. And them getting this result at City gives them all the confidence in the world that they can have a legit shot at the title this year. So big game for them, big result.
Huge game and a huge result. Keeps that top 3 just 2 points apart from first to third, 1 point with each spot there. Now we move into a top 4 or 5 bout here that I don't think went exactly how you would have thought maybe a couple weeks ago. It is Aston Villa versus Tottenham Hotspur. Aston Villa getting a 2-1 win here. Nick, this was your featured game of the week. We know that you love to pray on Tottenham's downfall. Well, God has answered your prayers on this Sunday. Nick, bring us through your featured game of the week here.
None of us saw it coming. Fuck you. I saw this coming. I've been telling you guys for a while they're frauds. Uh,
But most of us
just
wouldn't see
because
it coming.
just because you have Andrew's like balls on your chin does not mean that there isn't some reality on this podcast. They it's all bad. Heung-min Son for the first time in a while had not his best game. No James Madison. I say when you don't have those two firing, what else do you have? Well, it turns out not
Emerson at
much.
center back.
Hey, good, good.
That's what you
That
have.
that's the answer to the problems.
Dog,
Yes, they're injured.
dog.
Uh, yes, they are. Brian Gill starting in the Premier League in 2023 is ridiculous. But listen, that's part of the deal. You need squad depth in the Prem. We've been shouting it. I've been shouting it. They don't have enough. It's going to hurt them. It hurt them. This is what 4 losses in a row now for Big
3 in
Ange
a row.
and Tottenham.
3 in a row. Yep.
So, not great. I think they have like a cup loss in there as well somewhere. So, um, not looking good for the Spurs. And hey, I mean, this isn't even me just piling on. They to start the game, they just couldn't finish any chances. Again, Son not with his best game, and then Big Ange, always on the front foot, only knows one way to play. Well, that fucking hurts you with the attacking side like Aston Villa, who's able to get 2 goals on them, and the positive start turns into a pretty big loss. Um, they were on top of the world, man. everyone, everyone was giving them handies under the table. They were just shouting it from the rooftops that we're here to stay. Now 3 weeks later, they are fifth in the Premier League. I don't know, man. What do you think, Flags? You're the biggest Big Ange supporter on this pod. Are we starting to lose a little bit of faith, and specifically with his lack of like being able to adapt in certain scenarios?
I think we had plenty of episodes where we talked about depth, and that depth is exactly what's kicking in now. They just don't have it like at all. They have the stars. They have a great starting 11 when everybody's healthy and can play some really good ball. But I think we're just seeing that they should have invested a lot of that money that Harry Kane gave them when they sold him into creating a deeper squad with better players that can step up when others are injured. They did not do that, and it's showing now the second they're having this huge injury run. I mean, which is I mean, Manchester United's had a crazy amount of injuries, but they're still getting results. I know Tottenham's still
That's what
obviously
I'm
above
saying.
them, but Manchester United has had injuries, and I'm not saying that their depth has been good, but they're still getting results.
But don't you think that points to Big Ange? Because again, we talked about in that Chelsea game, they could have shithoused their way to a point with just like low block. Chelsea can't handle a low block ever. And then here they're up 1-0, but they don't change their style of play and they get hit on the counter twice. I mean, they could have at least gotten a point from this game. They played well to start. You're not worried about
I
him?
think if you're Tottenham and you're one up on Aston Villa, he's not Mourinho where he's saying we're up 1-0. I'm just gonna sit behind the ball. And I'm okay. That's your identity. You want to go out and score more goals. You want to be aggressive because it already had worked for a goal. I don't blame him for going for it. Aston Villa just is a good team and is able to punish you. Um, but no, I think Ange is still definitely a great manager for them. I just think first year of the project, he does not have the depth of pieces to. I don't think he has the pieces to continue his system when other people are hurt, and I think that is what ultimately is getting them down. But how about Aston Villa, huh? Mike?
Yeah, Mike, what do you think about this Villa team? Because it's a big result, going to White Hart Lane there, or whatever the hell they call it now, London Stadium.
Yeah.
And they get a big win versus Spurs when again, Villa was kind of on the back foot in the beginning. So what does this result do for Villa's expectations?
It's a big win. Um, Especially with kind of how the run of the game went. They were getting just hounded. Tottenham was knocking on the door most of the game, and they just couldn't finish it at the end. They weren't getting that final piece together. A lot of missed chances, offside goals, this and that. Down a goal for a majority of the game, and then capitalize on a set piece. It says a lot. And I think it points to maybe Unai is a more experienced manager at this point, and I mean that's factual. He is. He's coached a lot longer and at the top flight um, compared to Ange. And Tottenham once again cannot manage a game. It's many times in a
Okay.
row we see that. I still think they play some great football, even with this kind of lackluster 11 out there, where they're missing both their midfielders, both their center backs, some attacking play. Like, yeah, most of the team. Um, they're still playing dynamic, free flow, fast pace, come at you football, which is sick to watch. But Villa hung in there. They took advantage of the few chances they had, won it late. Says a lot. I think they're here to stay in this range. Top four is going to be such a toss up. I'm thinking the 1-2-3 is the 1-2-3. It it might change. It might flip. Like Liverpool might go two, might go one at one point. Arsenal City the same way. I think they're the three best teams in the Premier League by a margin, a good margin at that. And then Tottenham and Villa and even United shithousing their way up into six.
Newcastle.
This is interesting. Yeah, and let's not forget about Newcastle or Brighton. Um, Injuries are amok. There's too much football being played. It's being said. International play takes its toll. But when you're a team like Manchester United or Newcastle, especially Newcastle, you have a lot more depth, a lot more invested into your team. Can Tottenham deal with that? Can Villa deal with that? Villa's got more depth than Tottenham, but not by much. They lose a few of these guys, they could be in the same boat. Um, and I think maybe that's the difference in this game is Villa has just not been as cursed with injuries at the moment. So that'll be interesting to watch. Good to see some parity right there in the upper side of the table.
Yeah. Some big moves by some of these other teams going up the table, and one of those teams you mentioned, Newcastle, was in action this weekend against Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea.
Chelsea. The
And
Blues.
Raheem Sterling with a beautiful free kick for the one goal of the game they got. It is 4-1 to Newcastle here. It seemed like a bit of a game early on. I will say the Reece James red card for 2 yellows. The last yellow was awfully soft, I think, in my opinion. But Mike, I want your opinion here first. Is this a bigger result for Newcastle or Chelsea? One positive, one awfully negative here.
Newcastle. They needed this result. Um, they just finally had some guys coming back, and it shows them what they can do when they have their boys, especially Isak back in the team. They have a striker again. They were without him and Wilson going into the international break, and they're back at it, playing some fucking dynamic football. Chelsea shot themselves in the foot. Like, a lot of fucking dumb play, even from their veterans. Thiago Silva had a woeful game. Um, and maybe that's Father Time catching up with him. Maybe it's a one-off. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But yeah, it hurts for Chelsea, especially having a little bit of form. But it's really big for Newcastle and Eddie Howe showing them, hey, this is what we can do to sides when we have our boys ready to go.
Nick, for Chelsea, 4-1 defeat here. They made a lot of mistakes, did not look great. We've talked about how Manchester United looks terrible, do not play attractive at all, do not play good soccer, but they're getting results. Is it time for Chelsea to abandon good patterns of play and just play shithousery, get the points, whatever you can do to do it, make it ugly? Or should they continue to try and find an identity?
No, I like what they're. I like what Poch is doing. Pochettino's doing. I think I see the vision. Usually, Thiago Silva is a lot more reliable than he was today. Like he was fucking god awful. Um, Gave away a goal and could have given away a couple more. Um, but I don't think it's so much the play as much as the players are not it. A lot of people below the level today that you need to be at Chelsea Football Club. Conor Gallagher. I mean, I get he had a
Stinks.
good year at Crystal Palace, but the amount of sitters he missed. Nicholas Jackson, living off a hat trick of tap ins, got nothing today, did nothing today. Cole Palmer, everyone's sweetheart. Uh, well, it turns out if he doesn't get a pen, he can't do shit. So did not play well. Even Reece James, I thought he had a good game, but the pure stupidity to get that red card and fuck your team over even more. I mean, it was just poor performances from Chelsea up and down. I still think they're headed maybe in the right direction. Good to see Sterling playing well. So, like, if you're a Chelsea fan, that's a silver lining. But I mean, I don't know how you get back from the international break against a team like Newcastle and just are not up for the game. But Chelsea was not up for this game, dude. They were bad, and it just proves the thing I've been saying all along, which is there's only one serious team in London, and they're red, baby.
Yep, I wouldn't really go comparing Arsenal and Chelsea. I think that's a bit obvious at this point, but
I'm whatever the fuck I want, and Chelsea's shit, and we're miles better.
let's not kick them all there down. They just got absolutely smashed. They won't have Reece James, who been about one of the only bright spots. But hey, Raheem Sterling, that was a pretty good free kick. Gotta hand it to him there. Moving to our final Big Six game, it was Arsenal versus Brentford. Brentford has been in a good run of form previously to the last 2 weeks here. Arsenal, Nick, I want your opinion first on here. I thought they looked pretty bad. They did not seem like they were a step above this team, like I think they should. Ramsdale looks like he is trying to be the Blue Mountain State. I want to be the second string, not the first string. Get me out of the first string, and doing everything possible to get benched. That man was trying to give a goal, and Declan Rice said that they paid 100 million for me. Why don't I make some use of that money by saving him off the goal line? But then it's Havertz. This game was just a wild one, 1-0. What are your overall thoughts on this one? I don't think it was necessarily something to hang the hat on.
I am gonna hang my hat on it. I think Brentford is a really well organized team at home. No Big Six team has won there. I think in like 2 years. I think the only team that has is Arsenal twice and now three times. So it is pretty impressive. Um, they're well organized. Their manager, Thomas Frank, I think deserves a lot of credit. It was a really, really hard game. I don't think we played great. I don't think we played even well. But you need a moment of quality. Bukayo Saka with a beautiful cross once again on the score sheet. And really, my analysis today is about Kai Havertz because this man has been getting shit on left and right, at times deservedly so. That game against Tottenham, he was horrible. But like a couple of times now, including in the Man City game and now in this game. He has come on as a sub, even though I do think he should be starting. He's come on as a sub and changed the game. His physicality is huge, especially against these low blocks. We were spamming crosses all fucking game to Gabriel Jesus and Leo Trossard. Like that's not gonna be the winning recipe. When you have to play a game like that, you should play Kai Havertz because he's very tall, very physical, good in the air, and he has good like decisive movements. He's not the best finisher, but it's still a better option there when you need this style of game. So I am incredibly happy for him. I'm proud of him. I mean, he changed the game. He's the reason we won the game. Saka with a good ball again, but Havertz was there when no one had been making that run the entire fucking game. Because Martinelli put in some beautiful crosses first half too, and no one was there because we just didn't have that profile there. So 1-0, this is the type of win. Again, I feel like I said this like 4 times because we haven't had the best start to the season, but still we're first in the Prem. But this is not a game that Arsenal wins a couple years ago, and it just shows all the credit to Mikel Arteta and what he's done to the team, bringing in like players that he wants, and a guy like Kai Havertz, and also just like the mentality to keep chipping away. Declan Rice covering the goal. You're right after Ramsdale. I mean, that man is in his head. Like he's a fucking idiot the way he played
He's
that
in the
game.
dark place.
Yeah, bro. He's completely a confidence kind of goalkeeper, and now that he's gotten benched, he is shaken. So, I personally proud of the boys, and like I said, we have not had our best start to the season, and we're still top of the league. So I think that shows just how legit we are as title contenders.
And title contenders. Let's get into a top three here, and it's a pretty competitive race here, and I think this whole league very competitive. Don't think anybody has been uh, showing form where you think, oh, they're definitely a step above anyone. Mike, do you think Arsenal has the edge, not just points wise, but form wise, of the other teams here, or do you still take a Manchester City to defend it, or a sneaky Liverpool to get into it?
It's so tight. I mean, still think Man City has the edge just because they're Man City, just because of their squad, manager, and the fact that Kevin De Bruyne is coming back sooner than later. And until I'm proven wrong, he's the best player in the Premier League, and that says a fucking lot. The chances they're not scoring right now, the lack of creation for Holland, you think that's probably going to be fixed by Kevin De Bruyne's return, with
Might
just the
help.
amount he does, right? And Liverpool's playing really great right now. I take Arsenal over Liverpool because just up and down the board, I think they're stronger, especially the attacking three and the midfield. Just having Dex alone, um, crazy. Like I wasn't convinced at the beginning of the year, but he has a shout for the best defensive midfielder in the world, right along Rodri, in my opinion. And he's been playing better than Rodri so far this season. Looks like he's worth every single fucking dollar they paid. Um, I watched a little bit of this game. I'll keep it short. Arsenal doesn't look good. That's obvious. Um, Brentford looks like they missed their best man. If they have Ivan Toney this game, yeah, they probably get a result. But instead, they're relying on a dude like Neil Maupay to come in the game. Fucker can't buy a goal, dude. He putting him pass, hitting the post, doing whatever he
Hate
could
that
not to score. He sucks. Um, Aaron Ramsdale is a shit David Raya. That's what the Brentford fans were saying, not me. I don't know, could be
guy.
true. But just like we said about Man U, sometimes you just have to get the result. And Arsenal got the result. 3 points mean a lot, especially in this tight race. Hard to do against a solid Brentford team, well organized Brentford team, well coached Brentford team, in a tough place to play. Um, Not a pretty way to do it, but they got it done, and that's really what's going to matter towards the end of the season.
I believe Mike said I'll keep it short, and then it went 45 more seconds. So I
Time
don't
is
know what
relative,
he
baby.
thinks of Brentford in a long version, but we do know what he does think in a short version there. That
I will
is our
say, really quickly, I think Thomas Frank deserves a job, bro. He's a fucking good manager. I would like to see him at like a West Ham or even like I don't know, maybe
even
if a
Moyes
top four
wants
manager
to say
leaves.
Everton?
What's that?
David Moyes will have something to say about that. Our Europa Conference League champion.
Listen, I think he's an elite manager. I really do. He's very good.
Yeah, he's definitely coaching above his talent level. That is our Big Six recap. Now we will run through the rest of the games. Brighton, Forest. Forest get on the board early. What Brighton do, and they pass it all around the Forest. Get up to a 3-1 lead. A late penalty in the 76th minute. Makes it close. Lewis Dunk got a red card in the same Serginho Dest-esque way of 2 times. Just talking to the ref and getting pissed off at him in the same minute. So good for Lewis Dunk, really learning from a saucy right back as a center back. Cannot go wrong. Brighton get the 3 points here, finally snap their skid. Do you think this is a start to the turnaround here for Brighton, or do you think Nottingham Forest is just a bit shit? Nick, I'll start with you.
I'm still worried about Brighton. Uh, Good for the result. They were hyped, but I don't see them being the sneaky fifth spot finisher that I did beforehand.
Yeah. Mike, convinced they're back?
I'm convinced they are what they are. I like to watch them play. Conference League, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't think it was anything too convincing to get a 1-goal win over Nottingham Forest, who have not been too hot. But we go to a team that was very unconvincing in their 2-1 win. It is West Ham over Burnley. Special shout out to potential U.S. international Luka Koyosho. Drew what probably should have been a penalty in the first half, was not given. Starts out the second half, does what he does, just sprints at the defenders, gets a penalty for Burnley. They're up 1-0. It's the 86th minute. They're going to do it. No. No, they're not. Because West Ham, Kudus, beautiful dribble, puts it into the box, gets tapped in there for an OG, and then 90th plus 1 minute, Suchek takes all 3 points. Great for the Toffees, terrible for Burnley. Vincent Company said this week he thought it would be harder. Mike, what? What is he saying there?
Oh, what?
You wanted to lose by more? I don't know. Good for the Toffees. We'll fucking take it, dude. Burnley, shite club. Koleosho, good player.
Good player. West Ham, not looking too convincing in this one, yet they still find themselves top of the table. Not top of the table, but top half of the table. Let me clarify that. Nick, you think that's just where West Ham's sitting? Right around that 9 to 11 spot?
Yeah, 9 to 11. I think that's the perfect range. Maybe 12. I like what Wolves been doing. We'll see what they do tomorrow. But hey, a come from behind win with late in the game, always fun to watch. Shows grit. So good result for West Ham, even though it is Burnley.
Yeah. But hey, you got to win every game. Kudus, what a dribble he had. If anybody wants to go see that, I
Very
would
nice.
encourage you to go watch that one. Now, for a team that has won 3 of their last 4, probably thinking, who is it? Manchester City, Man U. No, no, no. It is the Bournemouth Cherries with a 3-1 win over Sheffield. I saw some of this game. Oh, Sheffield United is horrible. Goodness. They were giving the ball up. The distribution is worse than Zach Wilson on the Jets. Marcus Tavernier gets 2. Cliver gets 1. Nick, is there reason for some optimism around Bournemouth when there was absolutely none about 3 or 4 weeks ago?
God damn it, they're doing it to me. They're
Bro, they
bringing me
want
back.
you
God
back,
damn
bro. They
it.
want you back so
Ever
bad.
since I said I'm out, they've been on a tear.
They're like sitting outside your window with a jukebox, bro.
Bro, they tell him to stay out. They say, get the fuck out. You
I
were
won't
dragging us
do it. I
down.
won't do it. I'm back to Brentford being my non-Arsenal team because I enjoyed watching them play against Arsenal this week. So I refuse to do so. Maybe when Brentford and Bournemouth play, it'll be the Nico Bowl, and I'll take the winner.
All right, Mike. Sheffield United is a point above Everton at the moment.
Yeah.
How much of a gap is there between Everton and Sheffield? I feel like 1 point above Sheffield United would have to be 30 points above to not
Yeah.
be relegated, and they
You
still
know,
might.
if they had a 2 in front of that 5, I'd still feel pretty comfortable that we're gonna beat them or finish ahead of them towards the end of the season. Um, I think they're worse than Burnley. Somehow they're ahead. They suck, dude. They're really, really, really bad. Bournemouth, they're better than that
Yeah,
marginally.
Bournemouth is not better than much, but boy, they better than Sheffield. Sheffield was legitimately just throwing it straight to the attackers. It was like a drill, attacking drill there. Not what you want to see if you're a Sheffield fan. But we move to our final game of the week. Of course, we do have Monday Night Football tomorrow with Palmer's Wolves in action versus Fulham. But
I'm nervous.
our final game was an absolute banger, huge quality here. Luton Town versus Crystal Palace. What really should have been the goal of the week by Elise here until Garnacho went Ronaldo Rooney
So
on us. Uh, but a big result here for Luton. Everton obviously has that 10-point deduction that puts them down there. Now Luton find themselves 4 points clear of the relegation zone with a huge win here with an 83rd minute goal to get that result. Mike, is it getting a little scary here? I know we weren't too worried when it first came out, the 10 points and getting back away from these three, but Luton Town gets this result here versus a decent Crystal Palace side. Should Everton be sweating it a bit more than they were a week ago?
uh, yeah, like this isn't what you really want to see as an Everton fan because this is like one of our closest competitors. Um, for sure, they look like not good. They don't look good. I won't go as far to say that, but they look better than Sheffield and Burnley
Flags is really
comfortably.
twisting that fucking knife in Mike's side.
They, he's an Everton fan too, so
Yeah,
self-inflicted wounds. But yeah, like they didn't have much this game. They took what Crystal Palace gave them, and they finished it. I don't expect them to do that every game or even like half the games, but they did it this time, and it was enough to win against the mediocre Crystal Palace side, who they should be inspired. I mean, they got their best player back. He scores a worldie, and they don't have enough to finish it against a lower side. So yeah, definitely scary.
and Nick, disappointment for Crystal Palace. They do get their best player back. He scores a worldie, and they still lose to Luton Town, whose biggest signing of the summer was Ross Barkley. What does that mean for Crystal Palace? What should they be doing going forward? Their center backs have not been very great. Chris Richards is sitting there on the bench. All I'm saying.
But I mean,
Sure, start Chris Richards. I don't give a fuck what Crystal Palace does. They are like they are so incredibly aggressively mediocre. Like, they won't go down. They're not gonna like trouble most teams. I mean, it's hard to play at Selhurst. Don't get me wrong; those fans are fucking crazy. But I mean, they just not fun to watch. They lack inspiration. I miss Zaha, dude. We need him back.
They're the eternal 10 to 17 type team in the Premier League. They're not making too much noise.
this is
A
what I
nice
want for
growing
Everton.
nonsense there.
This is what I want for Everton. This is the benchmark.
I want Giancarlo back. Give us the glory days again.
Please.
Give us Ancelotti just for a bit. Have him pull double duty. He could do it. But alas, that was our last game of the weekend. There's been a lot that's happened for the U.S. men's national team corner. So I'm just going to kind of list out the main headlines here. The U.S. over the international break won at home very unconvincingly versus Trinidad and Tobago, then lost away majorly in part due to Serginho Dest yelling at the referee because of an out of bounds call because he thought there was a foul early that should have been called. You're up 4-0 in aggregate. Don't need to argue it. Then he gets a yellow for arguing, and he does a little kiss to the ref and gets the red card, which then makes a very sketchy game in Trinidad and Tobago. They end up losing 2-1 there, but they're still qualified for Copa and the Nations League semis. Pulisic this weekend starts in a win versus Fiorentina, so he is no longer facing those injuries. McKennie also went away for injuries of the last game. Also started for Juventus versus their game against Inter, a 1-1 draw. Malik Tillman got a assist in the weekend, and Balogun gets another goal against PSG. One each year so far for him in the French top division. Good for him. Glad he's able to get some actual action there and passes in behind. Trinidad was not having to deal with too many runs in behind from Ballo being caught out there. And to end today, we go to everybody's favorite segment, pouring one out for. And Mike, we will start with you. Who are we pouring one out for, good or bad today?
Both pretty negative, but we'll keep them light. Pouring one out for the Toffees worldwide, the Everton family. You know why. We've been done dirty. It's absolute fucking conspiracy. There's mistreatment. Let them know. Singing in the streets. And then pouring one out for the Barcelona wonder boy, Gavi, who had a horrible injury while playing for Spain in Euro qualifiers. Destroyed his ACL, tore his meniscus, is out rest of the season and most likely for Euros. So that really sucks for him, sucks for Barcelona, sucks for Spain, sucks for football in general. He's one of the brightest young stars to watch, an incredible player. But as Xavi said, he became a better player after his injury. Hopefully the same for Gavi.
Absolutely. Pouring one out for them. My pouring out for is going to fairness. There is a team right now that has 115 charges of FIFA Fair Play and has had that for years. It's been like 10 years of these being up against them, and there's been zero punishment. Everton has one case against them regarding a COVID time. It's like 5 million discrepancy, and they get 10 points. It's not fair what's going on. Similar to what Mike said, it is corrupt. It's just insanely stupid that a team, just because they have money and Saudi backing, is getting absolutely crazy treatment to not have any type of punishment for what they're doing, and people do not care. So pouring it out for fairness. It's not happening here. Hasn't been happening in the VAR rooms. There's a whole lot of issues with it. Nick, we go to you. Who are you pouring one out for?
Pour one out to Tottenham fans, and it's not because your team is on a 3-game losing streak. It's not because your fans are injured. It's not even because you're all butt fucking ugly like that guy right there. It is because of what this podcast did to you. Specifically, one Jared Flaggett, who sold you dreams of Premier League championships and title contention with real teams in the squad, and you thought for a second you were somebody because of this beautiful man. But instead, he sold you lies because you know what you are. You're frauds, you're side characters, you are a fun story for a couple of weeks, a year, and then you are Europa League. Spurs, pouring one out for you tonight.
Woo-wee. I'm not drinking
Yeah,
that.
damn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pour one out for Tottenham fans off of that. Pour one out for by Nick.
Flag saying a
And
team is going somewhere is like a sign of a dying team. That is true.
Death kiss, yeah.
I mean,
That
they were
is
going
death
places
kiss
and they
for
just got
sure.
injured.
Yeah.
But
Flags,
Palmer, you are our
Mexico's going
final
somewhere, right?
pouring out for. Who are we pouring one out for you?
We're going to some real football for my pour one out. Um, as everyone knows, Thanksgiving is for dry turkey and the Detroit Lions losing. And lose they did to a just not as good Green Bay team over the weekend.
Not
Or
as
I
good,
guess last
much better.
Thursday.
I think is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. They, I mean, in Green Bay's defense, they played great, I thought. But
Jordan loves the future.
there you go.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So pouring up for the Lions. That's just an L you have to take every year. It's unfortunate. It should just be in the record.
Pouring out for Jack Harlow too. That fucking sucks.
Dude,
That was-
that was a rough one, bro.
Terrible.
Pour one out for him and keep it pouring out because the budget for pouring out a beer for him is about the same budget he got for that concert.
Dude, they
Or
like
normal,
weren't even
just
playing
like
his
a
music on
walnut.
the live stream or like on the. It was just like the stadium music with it. I don't know. It was bad.
Yeah, not great for him. But that will do it for another episode of Footy with the Boys. We are back. I know everybody was missing it over the international break and over the holidays. Don't worry. We're here. Papa's home. But until next time, Nick,
Daddy's back.
don't give that look. Until next time, that has been Footy with the Boys. Subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, send it to your friends, send it to your enemies, whatever you want to do. Peace.
Peace,
Sergino
boys.
Dest, figure it the fuck out.